What is up, my fellow traders, and welcome to a video where I'm going to deep dive and show you guys why it's so important to understand the higher low concept, whatever you want to call it, but really it is just understanding market structure and how to spot reversals to the upside and to the downside. And this video is vital to your trading journey to understand how to spot higher highs, higher lows, the break of those, and what happens when we break structure. So really, it is just market structure. Let's get right into it and share our screen and show you guys why it is important to understand this concept. So I understand that this video almost seems like my trend video, but guys, this is the better, more in-depth concept on how to spot reversals. This is how I determine whether I'm gonna look for puts over calls or calls over puts. Now, a lot of times in my Discord, even though I see a green hammer, I don't even care no more because the downtrend is downtrending, or the uptrend is uptrending. So if I'm looking for puts and I see that we're in a downtrend on a higher time frame, then I'm going to follow the trend. The trend is your friend. It's more easier to take puts when we're downtrending. Most people try to spot the reversals and take calls on bounces of hammers out of support and hope that it reverses back up and we create some new higher highs. But it's more easier to follow the trend, and more typically on a higher time frame, if we're downtrending, creating lower highs and lower lows, you might as well look for shorts all the time, man. If we're creating higher highs and higher lows, then it's more easier to take calls and look for a call position. So only the most dedicated and people that are eager to learn about option trading and want to better their game are going to watch this video all the way through, or even a couple times through, to understand this concept. And I'm going to call this concept the higher low concept, because the moment we stop creating higher lows is the moment that you start looking for some shorts. The moment we keep continuing to create higher lows is the moment you continually look for calls. Now in my Discord, I always emphasize this the most. I tell them, guys, we're creating lower lows. I'm going to take puts. I'm looking for puts. I don't care how many times we bounce up to the upside a little bit. We're still creating lower highs, lower lows. So let's stop talking and yapping and get to showing you guys what I'm talking about. So I did post a trend video about how to spot trends, which is very simply just connecting the wicks, something like this. So I created a very simple technical analysis video on how to chart your uptrends and your downtrends. But this is vital to trading, guys. What I'm about to show you guys is how to spot the reversals, why it happens, why the market structure changes, and how vital this is. So also this can be applied on the 5 minutes too. But let's get to talking about it. So as you guys can see already, yes, we're in an uptrend. So let's talk about this general area, and then we'll get to talking about this break of downtrend and then back to the upside and then back to the downside here soon. But let's start in this general area. So after the very obvious downtrend that's downtrending us to the downside, we started to break to the upside. And why and how can you spot that? Well, first of all, it's called the higher low concept for a reason, because you can see we're creating lower lows all the way down. You guys can see that, lower lows all the way down. Then this is the change in structure. Very simple. We haven't even created a higher high yet. We've still been creating lower highs all the way down. Now, I guess in this general area, it's still not it's a double top, but still lower highs all the way down. The moment you see the first change in structure of no more lower lows, and we created our first higher low, this is the change in structure, and this is what's vital to your trading. Now I'm going to mark it blue for an uptrend and gray for a downtrend. I should put it red, but I already started with gray. But guys, this is the most vital and important piece to trading to understand that we're probably going to switch here. Now we'll go to the 5 minute here soon, but first let's talk about the higher the time frame, because it's stronger to set up. The higher the time frame, the stronger to move. So we get our first break in structure, and now we're starting to create a higher low. I wouldn't just start taking calls here right away or thinking that it's going to potentially bounce to the upside until we see this break right here. Now we have a higher low and a higher high. We were downtrending. If you watched my trend video, then you can understand how to spot trends too as well, technical analysis wise, but also price action wise. We started to create a higher low and a higher high. Now this is the break in structure that I'm talking about, guys. This is how you understand that we're no longer downtrending, and you could have been eyeing puts the whole time down here. But after you get your first higher low and your first higher high, this is when you start eyeing for potential calls. Maybe use your technical analysis brain to start creating some type of support or zone areas that you plan to take calls at. But let's not get too deep into all that, and let's just talk about higher low concept. So now we got our first higher low and higher high. Look at the break in structure, guys. Another high and another higher low. Now this is a general double top, but in the pre-market, we even created another higher high and another higher low. Mind you, this is Monday, and this is Tuesday, and this is Wednesday. We spotted the higher low on Friday coming into Monday. Maybe you didn't take no calls here because you were skeptical if we were actually going to continue on up. And maybe you're waiting for the break of this general area that is around here before you start taking calls. Either or, the moment you started spotting the higher low and higher highs is the moment you can start looking for calls in general anyways. But let's continue on, guys, and let's talk about this next breakup structure. So of course, you're going to have your other technical analysis, such as, like I just mentioned earlier, your supports, your resistance, your areas, your trade plans, areas that you have levels at. But in this video, we're just going to talk about real quick the higher low concept. But you guys have to understand that you guys got to add this context and keep this in mind, as well as you're using everything else in your favor, like your support zones, your resistance, your Fibonacci retracements. So we started creating some higher highs and higher lows. This is our last higher high. And look at this, guys, another breakup structure. Now we have our first lower low. Although we created our first higher high here, guys, look at this. This is the breakup structure right here again. Just like this time right here, this is our breakup structure. Lower low is here. Although we still created a higher high here on Wednesday to Thursday, our first lower low is here. So then I'll start being a little bit skeptical. Are we going to start downtrending now? And look at this, a lower high. Now we're starting to break structure, because now not only did we get our first lower low on Wednesday and Thursday, but following day on Thursday to Friday, we get our lower high as well. That is how you just spot the break of structure, guys. And this is so simple and very simple to use, very easy to use, very easy to follow. And we haven't even turned on the 5 minutes yet. I hope you guys are following along. And although I know it can be like rambling, but this is pure gold right here, guys. This is pure gold right here. And if you skip along on this video, you most likely will never understand this concept. And this is why you're also losing as well. And if you check my Discord, I'm constantly winning every single day. When I do lose, it is a small $48 loss. That is the most recent loss I took on the 21st of this month. And every single day has been 3-digit days, sometimes $95 days, $80 days. But overall, it's 3-digit days every single day. And it's because I use this concept all the time as well as my support levels, my resistance levels, my zones, my Fibonacci retracements. I use my technical analysis like reading candlesticks, understanding the volume, but this is just one tool that also will be vital to trading, guys. So understand that. So like I just mentioned, this is our first sign of breakup structure. Then we get another sign of the breakup structure for confirmation, lower low, lower high. And you guys can see again, another, and you know what? I'm even going to start doing this now to make it even more easier visually. Now we got our lower high here, and although we did create a higher low in the pre-market, you can see it's getting tight here. Candles are getting tight, lower high, higher low. Just before that, our lower low. And then we couldn't create higher lows no more. It's following trend. Lower lows, lower highs, and again, lower lows, lower highs. And what I'm gonna do is start adding the trend lines to follow along to show you guys what I'm talking about. Then again, guys, we get another breakup structure, and this one's even better because it's a higher low and higher high at this exact time. So you guys can see very visually, now we're starting to uptrend. Higher high, higher low. That's why I'm calling it the higher low concept, because the moment we start doing that is the moment you can start thinking about calls, waiting for a certain break of recent highs, which you can even mark off this recent high as a call level. But overall, guys, look at this. Another higher high, another higher low. So I'm going to change them to green because it's kind of getting in the way of my actual blue candlesticks, and it's kind of getting a little bit difficult to read them. But you guys can see now. Now, I understand this video might be long, but it's very in-depth to show you guys exactly what I'm looking at. Higher lows, higher highs, same thing. Higher lows, higher highs. What happens here? If you guys understand consolidation and understand this is just a consolidated area, then it's very simple. Look at this. You can even take calls on a retest here, but let's not get into that, guys. I get a little bit too hyped sometimes. Now, I'm going to zoom in, guys, because look at this. We're still generally creating higher highs and higher lows in general. This is exactly a double bottom, 1 cent off away from 482.78 to 482.79. 1 cent off, but a double bottom here. This is a higher low right here. Now I understand double bottom bounce, higher high, higher low still. And I understand in this pre-market area, it is a little bit of a lower high, but overall, guys, this is just consolidation right here. And I'm pretty sure a lot of traders would add a nice zone here. This is what I would do. But we're not talking about technical analysis. We're just going to keep talking about the trend. Now, I know, guys, I'm on the 4-hour, but we are going to shoot to 5 minutes here soon. I just want to show you guys something and have you guys follow along to understand. And you guys can see. Let's zoom out and show you guys where we started at. This is the downtrend of lower lows and lower highs. Then we get our first break of structure here. First break of structure here. I'm even going to put a quick arrow because this is the first break of structure. Then this is the second break of structure that confirms it on the same general area. Then we create higher lows, higher highs. And then we get our second break of structure here, a lower high. This one still is creating higher lows, but ultimately it confirms right on this one as well. Lower highs, lower lows. Let me even draw a trend. I forgot on that side. But you guys can see and follow along with the price action. This is just reading price action and understanding the higher low concept. Now you can draw your trends. You could easily just connect these wicks and call it a trend. But the reason why I'm showing you this in this general way is because you guys have to understand visually how these market structures break to the upside or downside. I'm constantly watching this every time I pull up the pre-market chart or do my own technical analysis the night before. I am looking for these concepts, these higher low concepts. I'm going to call it the higher low concept. Hopefully I'm the one that's coining this, or this is my first, or I'm the first one to talk about it like this in this way, because a lot of people just tell you to draw your trends, which is very simple. And yes, they do pay out. You can see we did get a break to the downside, but they don't tell you why. Now, this is just reading simple price action in your favor. So let's continue on. Now, we are just going to skip on ahead because I do want to go into the 5 minutes as well, but I also want to show you guys a nice break of structure. Now that we showed you guys on the 4 hour what it looks like, I want to hop down to a 5 minute time frame and show you guys how you guys can also use this on the lower time frame. Because look at this, guys, it even applies to the smaller time frames. Now, the reason why I didn't go right away on the 5 minutes was because I want to show you guys and tell you guys that the higher the time frame, the stronger the move, and that's something that I emphasize the most in my Discord all the time. Now, this is on Friday, literally the last day before today. So this is the most recent day. As you guys can see, it's right here. There's nothing more that just happened. Now, we can go over some trades that I actually took most recently, and I'll even pop them up, as well as we can even go over a few trades that I took on AMD just as of recently, and even a couple of other ones as well. But I want to show you guys how it works on the 5 minutes as well. The first hour of open from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 a.m., we are creating a little bit of higher lows, higher highs, more often higher lows. And you guys can see in the pre-market, we were creating non-stop higher lows and higher highs and climbed all the way up to a nice uptrend. And we did try to keep that uptrend in this 5 minutes as well. Now you can see right here in this general area in the pre-market, we did create a little bit of a lower low right here, and with the higher high followed, but then again, a lower low right here. Now I will just draw these trends to show you guys as well, but overall it's still uptrending, and you guys can see higher highs, higher lows. But then we start creating a lower high, and over here we created a lower low, but then we continue on with the higher low, as well as even followed a higher low, except this time we created a lower high. Now, if you read these candlesticks, you can understand that there are long wicks to the downside, a little bit of a hammer doji here, big sell-off, big buyer, another sell-off. But you can see the market structure here is getting a little bit tight. You can see that we started to break structure here in this general area. Now, I'm going to zoom out a little bit just to show you guys in the pre-market, we was straight uptrending after a big sell-off the day before, which this is why the higher time frame still matters, because ultimately we are creating a little bit of a lower high. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about this area where we start to break structure here. So higher lows and higher highs, all pre-market. But then during the open, we get a little bit iffy choppiness, barcode. And there was nothing really to take in this general area because nothing's going on here. We get a lower low followed by a higher high, higher low, followed by a higher low here, but a lower high. And you guys can just see we broke that structure. Now we're creating really hard lower lows, really hard lower lows, really hard lower highs. We break all this general choppiness. You can almost even draw a zone here. Maybe you could do something like this, and you guys can see the reaction here is pretty solid. But let's get rid of these zones and get rid of these resistance and support levels, because I want to show you guys the concept of the higher low concept. Now bear with me, I know I lost a lot of people probably already, but the people that are staying all the way through will achieve a new level of trading with this concept. Because the moment we break trend really hard and start creating a massive amounts of lower highs and lower lows, this is what I'm talking about. This is where I'm looking for puts all the time. This is where I'm looking for puts. Now for me, this is a bearish market for the intraday open. But look at this, guys. Now let's follow it with the trends. Boom. So I'm just adding these lines to show you guys the trend and where it's headed. Now look at this. Again, higher low here, followed by a recent higher high. This is the break of structure here. But guess what, guys? I'm not looking to take calls the moment we start reversing here. And I actually just mentioned this as of recently on my Discord that I am done trying to catch reversals. Most people would probably think about taking calls in this general area because we are starting to create higher lows and higher highs. No more lower lows and lower highs. But if you look on a higher time frame, we're actually still trending down. And if you use the intraday's most recent open highs, it's still a lower high ultimately. So I wait for the market to do whatever it wants to do, create your higher highs, create your higher lows all you want until we actually get above the most recent highs on the day. Then I'm not too worried about taking calls. Now I'm going to post it up on the screen because this is actually where I took puts on this most recent candle, and I'm not even lying. I had a market order or a limit order for $51 just for an entry while I was already up on the day. I just wanted to enter for $50 because I didn't want to lose much at all. Because if I lose $50 or even 50%, $50, which is only $25, I wouldn't care or be hurt that day. I was already in gains, but this is the setup that I took here. And I'm just gonna briefly talk about this setup real quick, because like we just mentioned, all these higher highs, higher lows in the morning, and then we get a strong break to the downside. I'm still looking for puts because overall on the intraday open, we're still trending really down actually. I don't care about all this noise of a little bit of a push, but I entered puts here. Now, if I threw all my EMAs, which I'm not going to, this is the 21 EMA right here, perfectly to the T. And here's a screenshot of when I entered, the limit order actually sitting with the price target and a stop loss. And that's how I made a quick 53% on a single trade, very instantly, off of trusting the lower high and lower low concept, the higher low concept, whatever you want to call it. But overall, it's just how you read price action. Now, I always say this, that I don't care about trying to catch reversals. I'm not trying to catch these big reversals. I don't care about none of that. I'm just following trend. So I enter puts here and I print 55%. And guys, again, we start creating lower lows and lower highs. Now let's get back to where we just were. But you guys can see, now we're creating lower lows and lower highs again. Back to the downside we go. It's so important to understand and follow trend. It's very easy to follow trends. And this is why I always tell people, you might as well just follow trend and take puts on the way down. Stop trying to catch reversals. And yes, you can catch reversals, totally fine, but only for a little bit. Now you guys can see that we started downtrending pretty hard as well again. Now I don't necessarily want to talk about candlesticks too much, but you guys can see that there's a hammer. And I wouldn't try to catch this reversal or do anything with this at all. Let's follow this price action like we've been doing. But also let me put in my trend lines to show you guys the trend real quick. So as you guys can see, I'm just plotting down the trend lines real quick. Just follow the price action to show you guys. Now I would not actually add all these to my chart as I'm trading. I'm just showing you guys this visually. Now we do hammer here and create a whole bunch of green candles to the upside, but we still have yet to create a higher high just yet. We are creating higher lows, but this is where, again, it gets interesting. Because look at this. Now we have our most recent break of highs, and now we have a higher high. And yes, you can say that we're creating higher lows here as well, which we genuinely are. But again, I'm not trying to catch reversals. This is not a general area where I would be like, okay, we broke most recent high, let's take calls right now. No. You don't want to do that because we're already still downtrending, guys. That's what I'm talking about. We're still generally downtrending. Now you guys can see that yes, we are creating higher lows, higher highs, but then again, back to lower lows and lower highs once again. You guys can see, which is why I'm always cautious about taking calls and trying to catch reversals. But let's talk about this moment again, because you guys can see that actually we did end up breaking. But let's talk about that. We have our lower highs, but it looks like trend wants to continue on up here, because you guys can see that we have a higher low, but we are still creating lower highs, followed by a lower low with a little bit of a double top area. But then you guys can see that we started creating higher lows and higher highs, higher lows again and higher highs. And you guys can even compare it to the most recent times. And yes, we're starting to even come up above that most recent general area. Rejected just a little bit, create a small general consolidation of lower lows and lower highs. But then ultimately we sweep on up higher and create a higher high and higher low again, with another break of the most recent intraday high with a strong bullish green candle. Now the next day hasn't opened up yet, but you guys can see that we actually did create a nice break of structure to the upside, holding it in the after hours. But you guys can see all the work we did. Now, with all that being said, this is an inverse head and shoulders. Now I know a lot of people are very skeptical on patterns, and I don't trade patterns myself, but patterns help you understand where the price action is generally going towards. And with an inverse hammer, with an inverse head and shoulders, that is bullish. And you guys can see we broke up the most recent highs, and we actually did do a nice inverse head and shoulders. And we even broke the most recent day before that highs as well. But now let's finally finish it off with just Thursday's price action. This will be the last part of this video. I know I just rambled on a lot, but guys, this is so important and vital to your trading. Just to show you guys the day before, nice downtrend to the downside, and then pre-market, straight uptrend. Straight uptrend, and even broke yesterday's highs. And we could even maybe mark off yesterday's highs right here. And this time, we're actually going to mark off yesterday's highs because that also shows a break in higher highs on a higher time frame. But like I said, guys, you guys can use this on any time frame, 5 minutes, hourly, 30 minutes. The higher the time frame, the stronger the move. So on a higher time frame, if we're downtrending, then most likely on the 5 minutes we're also going to downtrend, although you can catch some nice moves with some quick bounces. It doesn't really matter. I just like to follow the trend, and it has been paying me nicely. And it speaks for itself because in my Discord, every single day I'm following the trend and just getting paid out nicely. Now, like I just mentioned, in the pre-market, we were straight uptrending, super uptrending, really hard. Now in the open market, we have a quick lower low, but market is still uptrending with a higher high. And then this time I'm not gonna draw circles so you guys understand it. Higher high. Whether you want to do this one, let's do this one. Higher high. Then we get another quick break of structure. Oh, guys, I didn't even mention this. 561.65. We finally broke yesterday's highs. That's a little bit bullish. Not even a little bit. That's very strong. You guys can see we've been holding this general area. Then we create a lower low to that most recent yesterday's high. Hold it with a nice hammer, decent volume. And again, we go back to continuing what just happened. Higher lows, small lower high right here. But again, back to the uptrend of higher lows and higher highs. Now all day, yes, I would be thinking about taking calls, especially on the break of yesterday's highs. Try to get a retest in this general area, but if I can't, maybe try to catch it generally around here as well. But overall, we continuing on creating higher highs and higher lows till again, we kind of break a little bit of structure here. Start first breaking our lower highs here. Again, another lower low, another lower high. Try to keep up with a little bit of a higher high there, but lower low there. And I'm almost getting a tongue twister off saying this. This is why this is going to be the last part, because we're almost to the end, guys. I know it's a long video, but the people that stayed all the way to the end will understand this concept a lot easier. But guys, now the trend's starting to break because we're creating lower lows, lower highs. We are still above yesterday's highs, which is nice. But look what happens. Lower low, lower high. And you guys can see, let's zoom out a quick bit before we even do that. Look at this, guys. Higher highs, higher lows. Quick little retest to the downside for a quick little lower low session, lower high session, but then ultimately break to the upside, and then lower lows, lower highs. One quick higher high, but it doesn't hold. And here we are at the yesterday's lows. Instant breakdown to the downside. Now we were not just recently, before the break to the downside, creating higher highs, higher lows. No, we were creating lower lows, lower highs, and then a fat break. So you guys can understand that. Now, that is how you understand the higher low concept. Now, quick bit, let's just go over the AMD trade that I took, just because I want to show you guys how I spotted that as well, using the same concept, guys, the same very general concept. So I played this and posted this actually in my trade ideas many times. AMD was on high watch so long, and guys, the reason how I found this was because look at the same concept. Higher lows, higher highs, all the way through. But then guys, look at this. We started to break structure here. Lower high, lower low, lower high. And yes, we are doing a little bit of a trend here of higher lows, but ultimately we break down. Then I started creating this zone range, this range right here. Lower low, lower high, a little bit of a higher low, but it doesn't necessarily matter as much because we're still in this consolidated area. And let's hop on 5 minutes to show you guys where I entered puts at. And I played this same exact zone so many times. You guys would not believe me, I swear though. In the Discord, maybe I'll even post some contracts that I took as well. But guys, in the Discord, every single time I've been calling out this idea all the time. So this is on the 5 minutes. What it looks like on the 5 minutes. This is why this higher time frame is a little bit better. You guys can see this chop is a little bit ugly. But the moment we started to break down below the zone, you guys can see, look at the trend. This is beautiful. Look at the trend, guys. Lower highs, lower low. And you guys can see I bought my first contract at 6:49 a.m. and sold it at 6:54 a.m. for a quick $20 just to get in and out, quick test. But then I ended up buying even more. I bought 3 of them for $267 and $261 and sold at $285 after we retested it again, guys. But let's talk about this for a quick second. This will be the last one. I know this video has been going on for a lot longer than I actually expected, but it's sauce, man. This is gold. Lower lows, lower highs, nice general retest. I enter at 6:49 here, sell at 6:54. But again, I enter at 7 a.m. because, guys, at 7 freaking a.m., again, a lower high, and we're still creating lower lows. This is a nice general retest. I'm confident we're breaking below finally. And again, I'm just following the trend, guys. We're downtrending. If we were uptrending to this area, maybe I'd be a little bit cautious, but we're downtrending, guys. We're downtrending. I take puts here and I get paid nicely. $20 gain on each contract. That's over $60. And again, it could have been even played again here. And again, this is a double top. Retested that zone with a nice reversal candle and another one. Inverse hammer, doji, whatever you want to call it, hangman, shooting star. I don't even care no more at this point. It's just price action, reading candlesticks, volume in your favor, following the market structure. And you guys see, you guys could have played this so many times and take puts all the way down. And again, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. And ultimately, I don't care about trying to catch reversals. The moment we start creating higher lows and higher highs, I don't care. I don't even care to take calls here. I wouldn't even touch calls because overall, since the open, we're still downtrending. We're not above open's highs. And I'm glad I never even tried to take calls because look at all this weirdness. Now let's talk about the next day. This day could have been played again on the same exact zones. Now I didn't do it because of the weird price action in my general opinion. Now we are creating lower highs, lower lows, come up to create a lower high again, and you could have played it many times, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but I did not myself because we're creating higher lows. And overall, guys, you guys can see lower lows, getting a little bit tight here, lower lows, lower highs. Try to break up to the upside a little bit, but we're still creating on a higher time frame the lower low concept. Then again, another hard drop to the downside. That's why I don't care about catching reversals no more. And this is why I say on a higher time frame, we're still creating lower highs, lower lows. Because on a higher time frame now, this is the 5 minutes, you guys can see it's still downtrending on a massive amount of time frame. A massive amount. A bigger time frame will show you a better move. You guys can see that we're still generally downtrending on a higher time frame. Now this is 5 minutes, but I'm saying if I hop on a higher time frame, it would look a lot cleaner. But overall, again, and this is where I did take puts at. But you guys can see we retested this general area instantly and sold off instantly. Lower highs, lower lows, and that's why we get that downtrend. So I hope you guys can understand this video. Hopefully it helps. I know it's a little bit long, but overall, guys, this is how you understand these concepts, man. This is how you get better at trading and understand to use all this in your favor, guys. Come on. So I understand that video was very dreadful and long, but only the real actually watched it all the way through to understand this concept. And if you did, I promise you, your trading will get a lot better. You're going to use this concept in the next day when you trade and use everything else in your favor, like your support resistance, your Fibonacci retracements, understanding candlesticks, volume, and many more if you have indicators. But overall, guys, just understand this concept of market structures, higher lows, higher highs, lower lows, lower highs. All of this will help you in your favor, guys. And I hope you guys understand now. This is what I do for my own trading. And this is what gotten me a lot better as far as when it comes to retests for entries. Break and retest is really strong, and maybe I'll make a video on that as well. But overall, guys, I hope you guys understand this video. So I'm very sorry that it was very long, but it's very important and it's gold sauce for you guys to understand and get better at trading. Very highly educational. And if you stuck all the way through to the end of this video, guys, drop a comment down all the way through. Say it all the way through. Say you watched it all the way through. Just let me know. And if you did watch it all the way through, I will give you a free month in the Discord because that just shows me how dedicated and eager you are to learn. So I'll catch you guys on the next educational video course. Very helpful. And maybe the next one will be a break and retest because that is also what changed my trading game, my entries, as well as helped me get more profitable when I actually wait for retest and instead of trying to just have FOMO and chase a trade. Have a great rest of your guys' night and let me know how you guys felt about this video in the comments below.